We have a good bit of headliners today, from South Carolina to Venezuela, to Russian oil crisis spreading to China in the South Sea. If you enjoy the war brief presented today, please hit the like button as well as sub and hit the bell for notifications so we can deliver to you daily at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Let's get to our first headliner of the day. So we're going to start off in Puerto Rico. According to preliminary reports, the United States has deployed over 10,000 troops to Puerto Rico, while units of the 82nd Airborne Division have been sent to Trinidad and Tobago near Venezuela. Reports suggest that the Department of War may be preparing an operation to seize the capital of Venezuela and detain Maduro, indicating that Washington could be moving toward direct military action in the region. Next up is in Brittany, France. So NATO Maritime Command confirmed that a French Navy frigate is monitoring a surface Russian submarine off of the coast of Brittany, France. NATO ships are currently tracking and tailing multiple Russian submarines in the Mediterranean as well. This is part of NATO's ongoing maritime posture, maintaining constant surveillance of Russian Navy movements near European waters. While Russia once maintained a robust naval task force in the Mediterranean, its presence has declined sharply in recent months due to readiness issues and shifting priorities toward the Baltic and Arctic regions. Now, moving on to Ukraine. So Ukrainian troops advance up to 3.5 kilometers, destroying a significant number of Russian occupiers and taking prisoner. This is according to the General Staff on the situation in Zaporizhzhia direction. So in the Zaporizhzhia Oblast. More specifically, it's important because this region is where that nuclear facility is located. Now moving on to South Carolina. I do want to report that there's been a shooting at a crowded South Carolina bar and 4 people have died. So now let's move back to Ukraine in the capital of Kiev. Ukraine has received mine countermeasures vessel Akamar from the Netherlands, reported the commander of the Navy. He added that Ukraine expects another such vehicle by the end of the year. Crew training is already underway. The Akamar type vessel is designed to detect and destroy naval mines. It is equipped with remotely operated devices for their neutralization. The ship also has an automatic cannon, machine guns, and underwater drones. Now we're going to move on to the South China Sea. A China Coast Guard vessel has fired a water cannon and deliberately rammed a Filipino vessel in the territorial waters of Thitu Island in the West Philippine Sea. And before you is a picture of the island and the region in which this occurred. So it's just off of the coast. We're going to kind of scroll out because I had it very zoomed into the island, and you can kind of get a broader perspective on the area. You know, Thailand and Cambodia here to the left, and then below you have what I believe is New Guinea, Singapore and Malaysia, and then you have Philippines to the right, Taiwan, and then China to the due north. Moving on here to back to Ukraine. According to the General Staff of Ukraine, Russia has launched over 4,000 kamikaze drones and 4,100 artillery attacks in recent days, yet no significant territorial gains have been recorded. Ukrainian forces repelled 245 combat engagements in the last 24 hours, showing strong resistance across key regions like Kharkiv, Donetsk, and Zaporizhzhia. The war has entered a grinding phase, with static front lines and high attrition on both sides. Russia continues to rely on airstrikes, guided bombs, and drone swarms, targeting civilian infrastructure and energy grids. These attacks have caused blackouts affecting 725,000 families, but have not translated into any kind of battlefield success. Now, again, this is according to the Institute for the Study of War, which confirms that Russia has made no operational advances since mid-2025. And this is of special note because as we get closer to winter, things typically in the winter months bog down, essentially wherever those front lines are, everything kind of stays that way. The reason why this reporting is so critical is it just shows that there hasn't even been progress in the warmer months, as noted with the mid 2025 was the last time there was any kind of significant progress. Say that Ukrainian air forces are targeting a Russian military facilities located in the same region, which is the Zaporizhzhia Oblast area. Reference. Now let's move on to Venezuela. The command of the Venezuelan National Guard held a headquarters exercising using bunkers built with the support of Iran. Now let's move back to Europe, more specifically to Moldova. Peskov threatens Moldova. Do not repeat the mistakes of one country. The Kremlin spokesman stated that Moscow is closely watching Moldova's foreign policy and hinted at possible consequences if Moldova moves closer to NATO or the European Union. According to him, the country may slide down a path that has already ended for others. So quite the statement made today on Moldova, and rather concerning verbiage. At this point, now we're at, a really big part of our program for today. And that is why Tomahawks are such a big debate and why. So why are Tomahawk missiles significant for development in the Ukraine conflict? Well, let's start off with the strategic importance of Tomahawk missiles. Tomahawk missiles represent a substantial advancement in Ukraine's military capabilities amid its ongoing conflict with Russia. These missiles provide Ukraine with far greater range, precision, and strategic impact compared to its current arsenal. While Ukraine already possesses some long-range weaponry, the addition of Tomahawks would introduce a powerful, combat-proven tool capable of striking deep within Russian territory and exerting heightened pressure on Moscow. It is crucial to note that as of October 2025, Ukraine has not yet received Tomahawk missiles. However, there have been discussions that are underway and have been underway with the United States regarding potential transfer of these weapons. So what are the strategic advantage of Tomahawk missiles? Well, let's discuss that a little bit. Deep strike capabilities. So Tomahawk missiles have a remarkable range of up to 2,500 kilometers, which equates to 1,550 miles, allowing Ukraine to target high-value Russian military infrastructure well beyond the reach of its existing missiles and drones. The extended reach could render thousands of critical assets, such as bases, logistical hubs, airfields, and command centers, vulnerable to an attack. Precision and reliability. Highly accurate and combat proven. Tomahawks are designed to strike designated targets with great precision, even in heavily defended airspace. This reduces the risk of collateral damage and makes them effective against fortified military objectives. Enhanced strike capabilities. Although Ukraine has developed its own long-range systems, Tomahawk stands out for their combat effectiveness and reliability. They are equipped with larger warheads than Ukrainian drones, therefore increasing the destructive power of strikes. Greater deterrence and leverage. The prospect of Ukraine acquiring Tomahawks would be a significant concern for Russia. President Zelensky has indicated that these missiles could serve as leverage in peace negotiations, as Russia fears the escalation that such advanced weaponry could or would bring. So why would Tomahawks be a major challenge for Russia? Experts note that Tomahawk missiles would be a powerful addition to Ukraine's arsenal, providing capabilities that are currently lacking. Their potential deployment would significantly alter the balance of power and create new strategic challenges for Russia military planners. So let's do a comparison here of Tomahawk versus Ukraine's current long-range weapons. Ukraine has effectively urged Western-supplied long-range missiles like ATACMs and Storm Shadows, as well as its own drones. However, Tomahawks offer distinct advantage over these systems. So now let's move on to the geopolitical context of providing Tomahawks. And this is very, very important. The geopolitical context is the potential transfer of these Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine is highly significant politically and carries a risk in the conflict. Russia has offered warnings. The Kremlin has repeatedly, and I stress this, repeatedly warned that supplying Tomahawks to Ukraine would mark a major escalation, expressing extreme concerns over such a move. The U.S. hesitation up to this point. The United States has been cautious about providing Ukraine with such long-range weapons capable of striking deep inside Russia, fearing it might provoke a severe response from Moscow. This caution has contributed to Ukraine developing its own deep strike drone capabilities, often with U.S. intelligence support. Now that we've reviewed why it's a big deal and what it would mean for the war in Ukraine, let's discuss the next big news from today. So now we're going to move back to Ukraine and Russia. Kremlin is in panic. The U.S. and Ukraine reach an agreement on Tomahawk delivery according to Defense Express. Russia has no adequate means to respond to the transfer of Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine. Analysts believe that Moscow will have to accept this decision, just as it did with Finland and Sweden joining NATO. Experts note that the only tool left for Russia is the use of disinformation campaigns. Ukrainian Foreign Ministry spokesman welcomed Washington's decision to provide Tomahawks, calling it a major breakthrough by the current U.S. administration. They emphasized that Ukraine will not use these missiles for intimidation. They will serve concrete objectives aimed at weakening Russia's military potential. So this is a huge big deal if this report is accurate. And I want to emphasize that. This is according to Defense Express. Okay. Again, the U.S. and Ukraine reach an agreement on Tomahawk deliveries. Really huge, big breaking news if this holds true. And, it's a big moment in this war, and it'd be interesting to really see how Russia responds. So now let's move to North Korea. North Korea publicly debuted its Hwasong-20 intercontinental ballistic missile during a massive nighttime military parade in the capital of North Korea. And I want to show a picture of this. And this is from X, thanks to World at War. And here is a picture of it. And that's a lot of wheels. The Korea Central News Agency described it as North Korea's most powerful nuclear strategic weapon or system, emphasizing its role in bolstering national defense against perceived threats. The three-stage missile can allegedly reach the entire United States mainland, which equates up to 15,000 kilometers, and carry multiple nuclear warheads, according to the information from North Korea. Now, how reliable it is would be a different scenario. So now let's move to Russia as a whole. The fuel crisis has already affected more than half of Russia's regions. Gasoline supply disruptions have now spread to at least 57 regions within Russia, writes the BBC. Some gas stations are forced to close. Gasoline prices are rising faster, and the authorities have imposed a ban on the export of petroleum products until the end of the year. Now, moving on to Israel. Israel is prepping an area for Trump's visit to Israel on Sunday. And I have a little bit of a visual thanks to open source intel. I'm not sure about the music, so I'm pausing it. Don't want to get in trouble by YouTube. But you see the general area in which Israel is raiding the location for President Trump. All right, now let's move on to Washington, D.C. Following the Senate vote, Trump retains unilateral authority to order strikes near Venezuela. The decision comes as the White House ends diplomatic contact with Venezuela and claims legal powers to target cartels without congressional oversight. And that's all the major headliners that we have for today, Sunday. Thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow.